I'm gonna be honest, I used to overthink every little detail when I was making beats, and then before I knew it, I had like 50 unfinished beats just sitting there. But if that sounds familiar, this video is for you. The first thing you've got to understand is why we overthink as music producers in the first place. There's usually 3 key reasons. You're comparing your rough mix to finished professional songs, you don't trust in yourself or your taste yet, and you think the next sound is gonna make it perfect. But that mindset kills momentum. Every single great producer you look up to, they finished hundreds of imperfect beats before they make the one that hits. So here are a few rules that I use that actually help me finish more beats. Start with the drums. Sometimes when you start with a melody, your brain automatically starts judging whether it's good enough. But instead, when you start with the drums, you focus on rhythm and bounce. You stop thinking and start feeling the beat and the music. Another rule is only use one drum kit. Too many options can add to this decision fatigue. Alright, so we're in FL Studio. I'm gonna bring the tempo down to 100 BPM or around about there. There's no real reason for this. I just want to make a beat at this tempo. So like we said, I'm gonna start with the drums. I'm gonna turn the metronome on here just to give me a better feel for the beat. And again, focus on the rhythm and the bounce. So the drum kit I'm gonna choose is this one here. And I'm gonna choose a rim, I think. So let's just choose this one and just put them here, not overthinking it. And then next, let's go for a hi-hat. And let's just do a simple 4-step hi-hat pattern. Like, I know this is really simple, but it's a starting point and it creates momentum to build off. So I think I'm gonna change up the hi-hat. So if we just go into the piano roll here, so I'm just gonna change up the groove of it. So like, that was just from me feeling the bounce and creating the rhythm that seemed appropriate. Like, just trust yourself. Even if you're a beginner, you've been listening to music for however many years. So even if you're a beginner at music production, you'll have a sense of rhythm, even if it's somewhat simple. So trust your ears. And just to make this simple, I'm just gonna copy this over and just repeat it. I'm also just gonna add the rim here, and it just kind of resolves it a bit better. And then if you want, you can add like hi-hat rolls. If you find it doesn't work and what you had before was working, don't stress about it and move on. You might go back later, add the hi-hat rolls, and they work. But if it's not working now, don't stress about it and just move on. So I'm just gonna extend this out, add a roll here. And then for the rolls, if you just put them up or down like a staircase effect here on the velocity, they sound a lot better. And then on that note of velocity, just change up some of the velocities of different notes. And this makes it sound less robotic. Alright, so from here, the hi-hat and the snare, clap, rim, whatever, is a really good starting point, like I said before. I'm just gonna add some sounds in that I think fit. I'm just gonna add this open hat. And like, I'm not really liking that sound, and I'm starting to overthink, but like I said before, if it's not working, just move on. So now I think I'm gonna add a shaker. So let's just go in here. For the shaker, I like to just do small little patterns to add into the hi-hat. So if we just play around with it. So I was thinking about adding a snare, but just using it sparingly, just to create some more rhythm and bounce. So let's just choose a snare that fits with the rim we have. We'll just try this one. So I was thinking about just using it on every second rim that we already have. So if we try that. So I don't really like the sound of that, but we'll switch it up. So let's just try that one. Yeah, so like, that one works really well because it's really subtle, but you can definitely hear the difference between having it and not having it. I'm gonna use it on the first and then leave it out of the second original rim pattern. So you see like here, and then leave it out here, bring it back. And then I'm gonna keep it there, just do whatever sounds best to you. That's what I'm getting at. All right, so I'm just gonna add a couple more drum sounds, plus the kick, and then I'm just gonna leave it at that and move on. So I'm just gonna put this shine sound at the start. And I'm just gonna lower the volume a bit. All right, so I just wanna add one more rim sound. So I'm just gonna use this one here. Alright, so I just added this rim, the triangle, and now I'm just gonna add the kick. Let's just add this one here. So let's just start with the kick here. These short notes here create a nice groove, I think. All it is just two notes really close together on the kick, and I drop the velocity of the first one. Alright, so that's it. That's the drums done. I think we've created a nice bounce. There's things in there that I don't like, but we're not chasing perfectionism. So if we want to change it, we can come back at the end and do so. But for now, we're moving on. Once I've got the bounce down, I build the melody around it. Don't overthink your sound choice though. Pick a vibe and a sound that fits that vibe and commit. Again, like I said, at the end, you can always come back and change it. But once you've picked something, just commit, because you never know. Your best beat could be the one where you commit even when you're doubting yourself. Use contrast though. If your drums are punchy and hard-hitting, choose a sound for your melody that's smooth and atmospheric, and vice versa. So let's cook something up here and show you what I mean. So like I said, because our drums are quite punchy, I'm gonna start off with like some strings or like a pad. So let's find a pad to use. Yeah, we'll start with this one. So let's start in maybe D minor. I'm just gonna start on the root note, which is D. Let's just build a chord off this. A really common progression, especially in the minor scale, is going from the 1 chord to the 6 and then the 4. Like, you don't have to go 1 to 6 to 4, but using the 6, 4 in your minor melodies is really good. So if we go down to the 6 chord and then to the 4, and then for the last chord, you can either extend this out or add a different chord in. For this, I'm going to add a different chord. The 5th of the first chord in your progression is a nice note to use as the root note of your last chord to resolve the melody. Like, that may not make sense, but for this example, the 5th of our first chord is A. So if you use that in our last chord and bring this up to A, and then build a chord off this, it resolves nicely. To make this resolve even better, I'm going to use a dominant 7 chord. To make one of these, it's pretty much a major triad
with a minor 7th.
And if you try this, it doesn't work, just go back to basics and keep it really simple. I'm only showing you this because I think it will fit and it's something that you can learn. But if it doesn't work for you, don't use it and that's okay. So if we put a major triad here, which is 3 notes, place, and then skip 2 notes in place. So if we skip 3, 1, 2, 3, place, 1, 2, place. It sounds like this. So I'm gonna add some 7th notes onto these. You can even make them 9th if you want to. You know, I don't think it sounds that great. We'll try to pitch it down maybe. So you can see it sounds really busy and too full. So to change that, let's make inversions and make the chords bigger. A really easy way to do this is invert the 3rd of your chord up an octave. So let's try that one. So I've already started to change up the placement of the notes. Before we get to that, notes like these sound quite good because they add tension. It's not too noticeable, but it's definitely there. Again, back to the placement. So I was just playing around with it and I added this note in here, which I thought sounded nice to transition the 2 chords. So I'm just gonna play around with the melody a bit more and come back to you when I've found something I liked. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with the melody now. All I changed up was made some more inversions to make the chords bigger and transition into each other a bit nicer. And they sound like this. I'm just gonna copy it over and change it up in the second section. So if we just press Command B. You can also see here that I've cut this chord short just to add a little bit of silence, and you can definitely use silence as an instrument. So now I'm just going to add an electric piano, and I'm just going to copy the exact same chords that we just made over. Right click, copy, right click, paste. And then if we change this to an electric piano, let's go with this one. For the piano, what I like to do is press Command A and then Alt or Option S. And this just strums the chords, which makes them sound like a real piano. So just play around with the strength time dial and find whatever sounds best to you, and then press accept. For a piano, I like to just turn the velocity down a bit, just to make it a bit softer. So let's just do that here. So in terms of these chords, I'm just going to add one more sound, and it's an additional pad that complements what we already have. So let's do that. And then same again, copy this over, and let's choose something that complements what we already have. So let's go here and just look through them. Turn it down a bit. So let's just stick with that and turn it down a bit. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the melody so far. So I'm just going to add something else to fill out the high end. And I was thinking maybe like a bell. So let's go bell. Try this out. So I'm just going to keep it like that for the melody. Now for the mixing. Mixing isn't about perfection, it's about adding clarity to your beat. My simple approach is just cut the low end from any of your melody sounds, and then balance your sounds by mixing one sound at a time, starting with the melody, and then working your way through the drums. And then also add a soft clipper on your master. And again, this is just a base premise, but it's a good way to start. I'm just going to copy them all to their own mixer channel. So to do that, highlight them all here, and then press Command L. And now they're in their own mixer channel. So I'm just going to mix the melody first. So I'm going to start with the electric piano, just to give you an overview of what I like to do when using the EQ. So this is the piano here. What I like to do is cut the lows, boost a bit of highs maybe. And then add some reverb. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So just go through a melody, do the exact same thing. You don't always have to cut the low end, like it might sound better with the low end in there, but it's just to make room for the bass and kick. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that and come back to you when I've done. So now for the drums, I'm just going to add them in and mix them one by one. Our first sound when we're making the drums with the rim, so let's start with that. You can pan any of the sounds, melody, drums, whatever, left and right to make the mix feel wider. I got a bit carried away and forgot to add a bass, so let's do that now. Using the same drum kit, I'm going to pick a bass out. Just going to use this one here. And let's just copy the root notes of the chords, keeping it real simple. And that is how you stop overthinking and actually finish your beats. If this video has helped you, drop a like, subscribe, and comment down below what you want to see next. If you want to support the channel, my MIDI and drum kits are linked in the description, and you can use these to help speed up your workflow and again, eliminate overthinking. Thank you for watching, and finish those beats.